No, that's nice. That's nice. A wee minding, a wee gift. Because that's what you do at this time of year. It was Bud Light. Turned out they liked Bud Light, so you had to go back to the supermarket and get. Did you just take the Budweiser, the actual Budweiser? You took it back. No, you didn't take it back. You just kept it. I suppose it's only four. It's only four. But where did you? It's in the fridge. Oh, it's for me. A wee bonus for me. That's. Thanks very much. No, but I did say to you, didn't I? I did say that this weekend I was wanting to ease myself into the festivities. I wasn't going to go mad for it this week, but it's going to be 2 weeks of indulgence. I'm going to kind of build it up slowly. I've been trying to be a bit healthier the past couple of weeks to make room for the Christmas indulgence. But no, I know it says 4.5% on the side, but it's the opposite of alcohol. I don't know. I know you think that the opposite of alcohol is like water or a cup of tea or Coca-Cola or something. It's Budweiser. Budweiser's the opposite of getting drunk. It's like gets you soberer. It makes you kind of negative drunk, minus drunk. I just know that the last time I had Budweiser, I was, I'd getting utility bills out, and I was out checking the meter. It's 2 o'clock in the morning. Oh, it doesn't matter. I've got my Bud on, I'll just check up these meter readings and see if they work out the same. Did you hear that thing in the telly, the Bible, that chapter? And what was the chapter and verse? I think I'm going to go and get the old King James Bible out. I've not looked at the Bible for a while, and I'll just find out chapter and verse what that quote was, because I've got my Bud on. It's pretending. It's pretended to be. I'd rather have a pint of liquid salt than have an actual Budweiser. In fact, a pint of liquid salt, even if it killed you, it'd just be more fun, it'd be far better than Budweiser, which is pretending to be a beer. It's not a real beer, it's just pretending to be a beer, is Budweiser. Merry Christmas to me. How you doing, folks? This is your Fat Egg. All I'm asking is that we get into that bracket of clubs. We become the third club to get into the 30 points or more mark by the end of this weekend. Now, we've only played 16 games so far this season. This will be game number 17 in the league on a Sunday. But as you get to game 20, you're officially into the second half of the season. So I want us to get as quickly as possible, and I want it to be this weekend, we become the third club in that 30 points or more bracket before we get towards the 20 games mark. I want to get towards the 30 points mark, get 30 points or more by the end of play on Sunday. I also want us to even up the number of draws we've had with the number of wins. We've only played 16 games so far in the league this season, as I say. We've drawn 8 of them. We've won 7. We've only lost once, and that was to Hearts, unfortunately. But 1985-86 was the last time Hearts really looked like they were going to win the top. The only time in my life that Hearts have looked like they're going to win the top title in Scotland, and I was 16 years old that season, and I hardly missed a game. I think I missed about 2 league games all season. I was going home and away all the time, and that season is the only season in Rangers history, I've mentioned this before, where we've lost more games than we won in whatever league, whatever division we've been in since 1872, whatever league, domestic league division we have been in. That's the only time we've ever lost more games than we've won, and I feel as if it would just like the thing that this season we draw more games than we win. So psychologically, I'd like us on Sunday, preferably, to even up. We got a draw on Sunday. That's 9 draws versus 7 wins. The draws are getting ahead of the wins again. They're moving away. I'd like to even that up if possible. And also, I think it's worth noting that losing to Hearts was what got Russell Martin the sack. Well, it's the only league game he lost. That must be the one that got him the sack. So Danny Röhl had better watch himself. Russell Martin only lost 1 SPFL Premiership match this season. I know he was only in charge for 7 SPFL Premiership matches, but there are other managers in this league who've been in charge for fewer games than Russell Martin and have lost more of those league games than Russell Martin. Preview pod coming to you in association with Gersnet. Check out Gersnet. It'll be up by the time I've got this posted. The Friday night preview pods goes out live at 9 o'clock, but that's by the by now. Check it out on the Gersnet YouTube page or on all other decent streaming platforms, and it's going to be Craig and Stuart, so that will be a Christmas cracker. I had to say that. Get on to that. I'm sponsored by that, and I'm also sponsored by Anthony Joshua, yeah, I hope he absolutely leathers that guy. I mean, properly leathers him. Actually goes out in boxes. This isn't a metaphor. No, I'm not doing a wee metaphor here about, because Rangers are the real heavyweights and Hearts are just at it. Hearts are just pretending. They're pretending. No, I mean, I just want Anthony Joshua to go out there and absolutely leather this guy for the sake of sport, for the sake of life in general. There's too many people in positions just now because they're popular populist, you might even say, and because they've got lots of money and lots of people following them, it's starting to get confused with actual power. In sports, the one place where we're supposed to, big clubs have got power for various reasons. But if you get a better team on the park, they should be, but they need to be at their best. Sometimes the other team will beat them, as we might find out on Saturday. But Anthony Joshua, just do it. Just do it for sport. Do it for boxing, but do it for sport. Don't be biting your gloves like Mike Tyson to show everybody that you're holding everybody in the know that you're holding back. I watched the last one. It was an absolute farce. It was a disgrace. It was heartbreaking. It was shameful to watch. I know the fix has been in a few boxing matches over the years, but just go out and absolutely leather him. Could you just please totally deck him? First punch, knock him out. As a YouTuber, technically I am a YouTuber, aren't I? So I should be on the side of Jake Paul, but I don't think anybody could be on the on the side of Jake Paul. How you doing, folks? My name is Alec Anderson. Keep you in the dark, they all pretend. Keep you in the dark, and so it all began. Send in your skeletons, sing as the bones come marching in again. The need you buried deep, the secrets that you keep are at the ready. Are you ready? I'm finished making sense, done pleading ignorance, that whole defense. Spinning infinity, but the wheel is spinning me. It's never ending, never ending. Same old story. What if I say I'm not like the others? What if I say I'm not just another one of your plays? You're the pretender. What if I say I will never surrender? Hi, folks. My name's Alec Anderson. Sorry about that, and I'm here on recording this on a Friday evening to talk about Rangers this Sunday heading to Tynecastle with an unbeaten away league record in the calendar year 2025, and we're going to Gorgie in our last away game in any competition in the calendar year 2025. It's almost like it's set up for something quite significant to happen. This time last week, I was just hitting Junction 15, about to get off the M6 and head into Trentham in Stoke-on-Trent, and I was absolutely buzzing. I'd had a cappuccino in Southwaite Services at 6:30 to 6:45, I think it was. I was sitting there having that £4 cappuccino for the wee machine in the WH Smith, and it was suicide. It was absolute suicide. I could not get to sleep. I'm buzzing. I'm in a travel lodge. It's Pure Allen Partridge. I'm going to see Stoke City against Swansea City the next day. I might have mentioned this. And just nothing to do last weekend. There wasn't football last weekend. Our game was on the Monday. I was just so excited, just too excited. Like I went on Christmas Eve, and I had this cappuccino, and I couldn't get. It was like 5, 6 o'clock in the morning before I got to sleep. It was a 12:30 kick-off, and I wanted to be up there. I wanted to be up at the game for like 11 o'clock, and we just take in a bit of the atmosphere and see a bit of the state. And the next day, I'd walked out, I'd got the wee map out and all that to plan where it was. I'd never been to the Stoke City, the Bet365 stadium, and basically you come out the hotel, and it's a right-hand turn out the car park at the hotel, and you just walk along. Beautiful area, Trentham, very posh, a lot of mock Tudor about all that kind of stuff, canals, very picturesque, and you just basically walk along to the right on the main road that the travel lodge and the Toby Carvery was on, and then you take a left up Stanley Matthews Way. I mean, how much better did Stanley Matthews, we had named it, the most famous Stoke City player, the most famous probably resident of Stoke. Well, I suppose you've got the guys at the Potteries, but Stanley Matthews Way, and you walk up for that, and it must be, it's over a mile for that point. I think it was a mile and a half all in. It's basically a half a mile to Stanley Matthews Way, and it's a mile to get up to the Bet365 Stadium. And I was telling you, if you saw the podcast I did after that game, it's nice to be back at Ibrox on Monday night where everybody's podcasting, and every Rangers supporter's just walking about with a phone in their face, just talking, you know, how you doing? I'm sponsored by this. And I just want to tell you, Rangers, nobody's doing that. It's like these weirdos at Stoke City, they're all just watching the game, watching the football, and then having a beer, something to eat, going up the road, maybe having more beers and something. It's just like weird setup they've got going on down there, the English, but that's what they were doing. So I did my wee podcast, and I thought the place was still jumping. I was talking in the podcast about how there's all these artisanal burger vans outside the stadium. They had a fan park, the Ricardo's bar, Ricardo Fuller's bar, Ricardo Fuller, and it was mobbed as I'd come round for the stand I was in to come in front of the main stand to do my wee podcast after getting like 50 minutes, quite a short podcast for me. But it was all the folk coming out of hospitality. I was getting fooled. There was all these folk still coming out of hospitality, and I'm going, right, I'm just going to go and get myself a burger at one of these vans and a couple of beers in the fan park, and I'll enjoy myself, and I'll talk to you next week. It was just the folk coming out of hospitality, getting into their motors and going up the road. Everybody else, all the real fans, they're all gone. They just left. It was deserted. They pack up quick at Stoke. So I was left, and the walking up to it was glorious. And the walk up to the grounds, I'd left the hotel. It was apparently it was peeing down up here, but it was a crisp, beautiful, sunny kind of winter's morning. You got to see Stoke City against Swansea City. You know, two clubs I'd never actually seen in the flesh before, and really famous clubs. And it was like watching Football Focus with my dad, but in the 70s and the 80s, and just like, oh, England looks amazing. The games, there's proper sized clubs, great stadiums, and all that. And it just felt like that time of day that you're going for the kick-out. On Football Focus used to be like back at 12, wasn't it? It's a half 12 kick-off. And I'm walking up this road at like 11 o'clock. And I got to this corner where I turned onto Stanley Matthews Way. And it was a wee kind of retail park. There was this pub right in the corner of it. And it was all these things up about football. Football fans welcome, but a football-friendly pub. But it was obviously, it was like a step up for your spoons kind of thing. It was proper eating going on in there as well. And there's lots of Stoke City fans sitting about having pints. I thought, on the way back, I'm coming in here because it's only like half a mile for the hotel. I'm going to come in here and just soak up a bit of atmosphere, have a few beers, and I'll have my meal in here, you know. Because I hadn't signed up for meals or breakfast or anything at the Travel Lodge. So I thought, that's great, I've got that planned out. But by the time the game had finished and I'd done my wee podcast, everybody was away. And it's Stanley Matthews Way from the stadium back to that retail park. It's just all like industrial units. It's all kind of factories and that. So I'm walking down this road and it was getting dark by this point. Like, this is miserable. And everybody else, of course, was at home. They'd all just gone to their houses. They'd all got away to their local pubs and stuff like that. And I was just walking for the best part of a mile down through all these factories and all that, and it's miserable dark. I'm thinking, I'm not wanting to go for a drink. And I could see the pub coming up, and I just thought, no, I felt kind of alienated for it. And also, like I'm saying, I knew I was wanting to I wasn't wanting to start drinking and that again. I'd been off it for a few weeks until tonight, until on Saturday this weekend, build it up and just build it up to Christmas, being not Christmas Eve's on Wednesday, Christmas Day. If I don't even want to go too crazy at night or the morning night, just build it up slowly. Because I'm morbidly obese, so if I eat too much of that, I'm going to kill myself even earlier than I should. So I got in there and I thought, but I still need something to eat. I can't be arsed. And it was a Toby Carvery that the hotel was joined on to. I thought, how miserable sitting at a Toby Carvery on your own, getting a meal. I suddenly didn't want to get. I just wanted pints. I thought, I don't even want pints either. I don't want to be drinking on my own. I just didn't feel like it. I thought, right, I need something to eat though. And it was an Aldi's. There's an Aldi's in this retail park just next to the pub. I could see a few kind of restaurants. I thought, I've been out on Aldi's before, obviously, but I'd never really. I thought, well, usually on a Saturday I'll have a rotisserie chicken. If I'm not going for a drink, I'm going to get something that I can just grab and take. I'll just take it back to the hotel, have it in my hotel room, and just sit and watch telly and that. Because usually it's quite. I was pretty knackered because I only had like 3 or 4 hours sleep. I thought if I have a pint, because I had the buzz on for the cappuccino and the buzz, I only had a few hours sleep. So I'll have a couple of pints. I'm going to end up pissed in the middle of nowhere, It's not a good idea. So I went into Aldi's to see if and of course Aldi's doesn't have rotisserie chicken. You can't get like a warm chicken. It's just, you'd have to take it and put it in an oven and stuff like that. I couldn't even find them. If you had a whole chicken, you could just, this is useless. What am I going to do? And there was a wee place, it's called Wingers. Just in this wee retail part, there's a wee Chinese, and there was something, a kind of kebab place, fish and chip shop. But right at the end, and its address is 1 Stoke-on-Trent. Wingers of Stoke. It's a fried chicken place. It's like a KFC, but classier. I went in there and turned out the things that they'd all been eating at the fit. But I'd mentioned this in my post-match reaction pod to Stoke against Swansea. It's still on the pod. I mean, you can have a look at it if it's just down below. How everybody at the ground at half time was coming in with these like 3-course meals. But it was all in these kind of bucket, these particular kind of bowl type cardboard bowl things full of chicken and chips, and it looked sensational. That was they must have outlets in the concessions in the Bet365 stadium. So I was getting this as, well, I'm not getting the pints and the burgers, but I'm going to get one of these chicken things. And it was sensational. Coleslaw, salads. I mean, that's an insult to the connotations of salad. Barbecue sauce on these goujons, done a lovely kind of breadcrumb, and I go extra, kind of an extra 2 bits on it, and a wee can of Coke. What was it? 13 quid. It was just under 13 quid. Bring it to your wee table and all that. And there was a couple of folk in, various ages and social groups. And it was lovely. Great atmosphere, great grooves on, lovely music in the background. Had that wee can of Coke at, what was this? 5 o'clock. Something like that. That'll do me, 5:30. I just need some snacks now. I need some snacks. To take some snacks back to the hotel room. I feel like passing out early because I'm so exhausted. I've had so little sleep, and I've got a few things I want to do. The more, go and see Port Vale's ground, go and see the Lemmy statue. Then I'm going to head back. I'm talking about Hearts here. I'm talking about Rangers Hearts this weekend. Don't worry about it. I'm getting to the point. But so I went back to Aldi. I just need some snacks for the hotel room. Usually a Saturday night I'll sit and have some crisps. Once I've had my chicken, have some crisps. And I've lately been having soft drinks of a weekend, just to make room for getting wrecked all through Christmas and New Year. And I'll have like soda water and lime, usually, something like that. Because even Coca-Cola and that, once I have something like that passed, I'll learn the lesson for last night. I like with the cappuccino mistake. Don't be having any more Coca-Cola, proper fizz like Iron Brew, Pepsi. Can't get Iron Brew in there, but you know what I mean. So I'm going round. I'll get some crisps. I'll get some nuts actually. I don't want to go back with a big 6-pack of crisps under my arm into reception at the hotel, even though there was never empty there. I'll just get. I don't even need. I had crisps the night before, so I thought I'll just get a bag of peanuts and pork scratchings. There's pork scratchings. I'll get them, and I'm looking for. I want to get some dry roasted nuts, and it was just chili and jalapeno glazed coconut with salted nut type stuff. There was nothing. There was no actual dry roasted peanuts. I eventually found like kind of 58 pence massive packet of their own brand, just kind of salted peanuts. But even they had all sorts of flavours and different things. I was like, all right. So I'm trying to get a packet of crisps as well. And I'm walking out, it's like Ronaldo's. You think, golden. No, it's Wonder Goldens. It's Cheezos and stuff. Like they look like it's no. And eventually I saw a big bag of Doritos. Oh yes, Doritos. That's fine. I'll grab some of them. Definitely Doritos. It's not Toritos or something like that, their own brand kind of version. It's not. It's Doritos gingerbread flavour. Fucking gingerbread. It's the Christmas. It was a Christmas aisle. All stuff was Christmas related. Doritos gingerbread. I thought that's not what I'm looking for. So I eventually got a packet of pork scratchings. I got these cheap nuts. I just needed a wee soft drink. A wee can of, and it was all 4 packs of Orangina and Gina Ora and all this lemon drinks and all that. I don't want 4-pack. I don't want all this stuff. I just want some. I can't have a Coca-Cola. I can't have anything too fizzy. Just a kind of soft drink. And I saw this, and it's because it's just a single can, and it was quite wee. That'll do me. But it was cream soda. I'm thinking, I had cream soda. I can't remember anything about it. I grabbed this cream soda, so I get back to the hotel. And it was proper own brand stuff. I don't know what they make. It's obviously some make that Aldi's have with their factory somewhere in Basingstoke or something like that, or Stoke-on-Trent. So I took that back, but it was a half-mile walk back to the hotel there, and I was really knackered now. So I wasn't. It was good that I got a takeaway place I could sit in, and also I wasn't able to carry a whole lot of crisps and that under it. So this is quite good. I could fit all this in my pockets, and I just donald on back because I'm so fat. Because that reminded me of the fact that I don't really need to be eating and drinking any more than I need to. Because the walk was really it's tiring, very tiring. And I get back there, I'm sitting in the hotel, and these nuts are a bit tasteless, and pork scratchings, they're nice, but it's all own brand stuff. It's kind of miserable. I had a wee bit of chocolate spare for the night before, so I was having that, and are having what was it? The Mechanic. I think it was the Mechanic. Jason Statham. That's fine. The old Charles Bronson film. It was fine. But action movies, kind of stuff that my wife wouldn't watch probably normally. So I was like, aye, that's fine. I'll watch this. Can enjoy myself before I pass out. And I had a wee sip of the cream soda. What's this got? Fucking unbelievable, phenomenal. I can't go back to it. I mean, I forgot cream soda. It's like ice. It's an ice drink, an ice float. It's like vanilla, a big scoop of vanilla in your old crystal clear lemonade or something like that for the 1970s. It was phenomenal. So this is absolutely phenomenal. Germans, Aldi, Germans, own brand stuff. It might look dour. It might seem like it's not the real thing, but it can still work. It can still be a major result. It can still make your weekend while taking note, cognizant of the fact you're not at full strength. You're not at your best. It knows just what you need and just how to give it. The old Germans, the old dead Germans, getting back to basics. You see the tired, painful point. The patterns of results all season are quite mental. That's us beating Hibs on Monday night. 1-0 at Ibrox after beating them 1-0 at Easter Road, both in the league. We beat them 2-0 at Ibrox in the League Cup. I know, but it's like Hibs have they scored against us in 3 games. We keep beating them, but we're beating them 1-0 home and away. We've drawn 2 each with Dundee United, home and away. We've drawn with Celtic twice over. I think a lot of people, I heard was Rangers reviewing that today, saying Rangers have only lost 1 domestic game this season. Rangers have lost 2 domestic games this season, 2 different competitions. Hearts beat us at Ibrox in the league, and Celtic beat us in the League Cup semi-final. But I went into extra time against 10 men, so we're probably seeing it as a bit of a result. We were down to 10 men, but subconsciously maybe thinking of it as a bit of a result. It really wasn't. But we've drawn twice over 90 minutes. With Celtic this season, we've drawn twice with Hibs, and only one of our last 9 European games has been anything other than a defeat. So there's 3 goals against Kilmarnock at Rugby Park, 3 goals against Kilmarnock at home, beating Kilmarnock home and away. So very repetitive pattern results this season, which is kind of bad when it comes to the fact that Hearts have beaten us 2-0 at Ibrox in the only other time we've faced them this season. There's bubbles waiting to be burst for both clubs this Sunday. There's realities waiting to bite, waiting to catch up and bite both clubs this Sunday, should I say, and the only club who can benefit from Rangers playing, the club who really benefits from Rangers playing Hearts this weekend, of course, is Celtic. Celtic playing Aberdeen, but I remember Celtic putting 9 goals past Aberdeen in the league at Parkhead. It seems quite recently for an old man like me. I remember putting 9 goals past Dundee United at Tannadice, so that's points in the bag for Celtic. They're going to gain on both of us, or one of us at least, this weekend. So that's my snagging items. Snagging items from, it's very MR James weather on Monday night, wasn't it? I was standing outside in the boat, it was kind of foggy, a bit of fog. I was worried when I left the house to go to the game, it was going to be fogged off, the match. We need to get some league games under our belts, and it's this into Tuesday, it's still quite foggy on Tuesday morning. Very MR James, the ghost stories, MR James Christmas, there'll be they do the dramatisations of them. There'll be a TV adaptation, an old one, a new one on BBC 4 or BBC 2, probably Radio 4 as well. You should listen to it for them. And I've got my MRG. That's like one of the Christmas things I do. I'm not like a Christian or anything like that. Well, I am, ethnically, but I don't really. But I love Christmas. I absolutely love Christmas. And one of the things I get into is I read some M.R. James. I've got a collection of these short stories. It's quite weird how ghost stories get you into the spirit of things at Christmas. I watched the Glass Onion, the latest one. With Josh Brolin, the Catholic priest thing. I watched that last night. That was good. That got you right into. That's becoming a new Christmas tradition. The Glass Onion type films. The Benoit Blanc, Daniel Craig. But that was good. That's very Christmas tradition. And I think having a game on Monday night, we didn't have a game on Saturday because Europa League pushed that to the Sunday, and then the League Cup final pushed that to the Monday. So it's confusing. I love it at Christmas if you've got the 2 weeks. If you manage to get the whole 2 weeks off, and for years I couldn't, and it's horrible when you can't. But if you can, just the confusion at Christmas Day always feels like a Sunday, I feel. And then Boxing Day feels like a lazy Saturday. It's really weird for me anyway. That's the way I see it. And then the fact that they're on Thursday and Friday makes it even more confusing. And I love that when the days, but it started already, so it's got a real Christmassy feeling. Other things have been adding to it this week, the kind of wee presents we've been getting. But I'll go do my snagging list. But first, I should probably talk about, quickly, before we go to talk about the Hearts game, I should talk about the Hibs game. I did a post-match reaction pod to that. I'll cover a few things in my snagging list about the Hibs game. But Danny Röhl's post-match reaction, his post-match interview after the Hibs game on Monday night, he said, interesting quote, he said, "If there's one person I'm glad to see hounded from his job, it's Peter Lawwell. For him to be leaving in a manner which could be construed as cowardice on both his part and the part of the fans he's supplied with endless trophies is the most appropriate departure since the last IRA bomber to blow himself up in his own bomb-making factory." I think Danny Röhl. I think this is. I need to check. I think this is what I've got this written down as Danny Röhl's comments on it. Is it passing comment on our club like a plastic big man and wannabe tough talker, and a season where we've made some of the worst appointments in our history? All it takes is 3 straight losses, and that's now 4, but because he was talking Monday night, 3 straight losses for him to fuck off in a lap of dishonour. What was that? Giving the final confirmatory glean of Fat Track Bully to his reign. Like Neil Lennon chased from his own stadium in 2020 after completing 4 straight trebles. All the smarmy talk and incendiary pish has been rewarded with what it deserves: ignominy. Danny Röhl, I've got this down as a Danny Röhl quote anyway. I think it's he goes on to say, "Fuck him and the Magners owned horse he rode in on." No, wait, that's no Danny Röhl. I don't think Danny Röhl has said any of this stuff at all. I'm going to have to quote. I'm going to check the sources here, the attribution of this quote. But apparently he goes on to say, was it Paradise? He's talking about Paradise in 1967 and family in his resignation letter. And yeah, I have a funny feeling that it will be 1967 Jockstein. The only link to Jockstein on the way out for Peter Lawwell will be the fact that they've lost 4 games in a row for the first time since Jockstein was manager, and Paradise has turned to hell on earth for him. Patterns of assistance, lifeblood of the game, Dundee spam folder, sporting integrity. Jelavic, haha, he's not worth that much money. Sporting integrity. Relegating Hearts and Partick Thistle. Sporting integrity. Sporting integrity. Sporting integrity. If you play to galleries, the galleries will always hound you in the end. Mussolini, Thatcher, the Ceausescus, all the very worst to the Marjorie Taylor Greene of Scottish football. He's been treated as low and common as he deserves for continually appealing to the lowest common denominator. Harsh words there. Very, very harsh words there. I think you could say that Peter Lawwell's definitely got to Danny Röhl. He's definitely got to him. But sometimes people are absolutely horrible. You have to, you can't let that kind of nonsense. Oh, have I got to you? Yeah, and you tried to. So this is how you deserve to go. But I'll check. I don't know if that's exactly what. If it was Danny Röhl that actually said that, but I'll double check that. Maybe come back to you with my snagging list on Sunday. My snagging list, my post-match reaction on Sunday will cover obviously the mistakes I've made in this pod tonight. Really harsh stuff. But snagging items from that Monday night post-match reaction pod of mine. I meant to say, I was talking at the end of that pod about the straw poll amongst Rangers fans. Surely we should have been wanting Celtic and Hearts to draw when they met at Parkhead recently, because that would benefit us. Both of those clubs that are ahead of us in the league, that we're chasing down supposedly, would both be dropping points. But of course, the minute Hearts won, the entire Rangers supporters delighted. That let us know that we're actually quite happy for Hearts to push further ahead. And why is that? What I was meant to go on and say. Obviously, we don't like Celtic at all, really. I mean, it's nothing personal against individual Celtic supporters. It's just the way they've conducted themselves. Let's not try and justify it. We're just rivals. We're just big old derby rivals. But I feel as if it's more like the prospect of Hearts winning the league is a kind of insurance policy for the Rangers support. I feel it's like an insurance policy, but the premium of that policy is almost as expensive as the calamity you're going to have to pay for repairing. Pay to repair. It's really weird. It's only the fact that we've got insurance that's going to make us feel more organised when that calamity happens. The calamity being it's no us that win the league, but if it's Hearts, it's like that's no us. But and it's kind of worse for Celtic because obviously the Hearts are their Aberdeen, if you like. That's their second biggest rivalry. That's the team that loves to beat them is Hearts, the club that loves to hate Celtic more than themselves. They always got to put a bit more effort into it, haven't they? I remember Aberdeen fans singing we hate Rangers more than you when they were playing Celtic, and again Celtic fans were just on there going, they weren't even laughing at them. The Celtic fans were just going, aye, okay, well, I wish you did, I wish you didn't have to carry this about with me, just it's like breathing for Celtic fans. Aberdeen fans got to try really hard to keep hating Rangers, but it's a strange scenario, because if we get to the end of the season, Hearts have won the league and we're second, that would be bad, but it's making it, I don't know, it's just making it quite interesting. It's making it feel like a safer season. If it can't be us, please don't let it be Celtic. Basically, it's 40 years since there's been a real chance of that being the case. Perhaps, pointedly, Derek McInnes' Aberdeen had a wee chance of toppling Celtic when we were in the lower leagues. I think it was around about 2015, 2016, wasn't it? I think, remember Andy Walker, that Aberdeen beat them midweek at Pittodrie, and Andy Walker was all over Sky Sports the next stage saying this, you've got to get rid of Delia now. This is the idea of Celtic not winning the league when Rangers aren't in the league is just beyond. And actually, Andy Walker's Celtic born and raised, he's Celtic through and through. I had no problem with that. So I thought that was great. The problem is, the guy was talking with genuine, open passion for the club that he played for, and I was there when Andy Walker was scoring against us for Celtic and stuff like that. But I feel as if like Chris Boyd and Chris Sutton are continually trying to have that moment every week. They're trying to find something to be deeply upset about, to get worked up about, to get the wee kind of clips, to get it all clipped up and put out in Sky Sports the news for the next 24 hours. And you can't be outraged all the time. There's no something terrible happening all the time. So I think maybe that might have been, I don't know if that was the moment that Sky decided, we've got to have a moment like that every week because it's good for the numbers. But it can't be. It'll get to the point where something really serious and bad will happen and one of your pundits will be genuinely upset, but nobody will believe it or notice it now because they're upset all the time. I just remember that. But aye, in terms of somebody else winning the league other than Rangers or Celtic, the top title, they threatened for a wee while. McInnes' Aberdeen to topple Delia's Celtic. Obviously Aberdeen in 1991 went down to the last day of the season between ourselves and them. They only had to draw Ibrox and we beat them. As our team fell to pieces with injuries and what have you. That was a great day. But I think Hearts split the Old Firm. Was it 2006? Romanovs, Hearts, nearly killed them, but they finished second. We won the league the year before and we ended up winning another 3 in a row afterwards. But I think Aberdeen, our dislike of Aberdeen is only beaten by our dislike of Celtic. But and this is another related kind of snagging item. It'd be just like the thing. It'd be typical. It stopped at us. We haven't lost a game away from home in 2025 in the league. The last game of 2025 away from home, we're going to lose that at Tynecastle. It'd be just like the thing if it's Rangers and Celtic are both on 55 titles. But by the end of the season, Hearts get onto 5. They win their 5th title. I stopped short of saying it'd be just like the thing if the one time we finish above Celtic in 15 years. So the only second time we finish above Celtic in 15 years and we still don't win the league. That's not going to be funny. That's really going to annoy us. But we've all seen Hearts. As a Rangers support, we've all seen Hearts win the league that we are in when they won the championship in 2014-15. So we're primed for it. It's no bother. We've been through it before. It'll not hurt us as much as it hurt most Celtic fans. Snagging items again from a Monday night post-match reaction pod. After seeing the sports scene highlights, hearing a few things online, was that too hard on Chermiti? I think I don't know if I was too nice about it. I think he was saying he was trying quite hard, he was doing quite well, and then I just ended by saying, but he's rubbish. But a wee flick on the 1-2 he had with Mikey Moore before he had that shot that went out for a by kick or a corner kick, or whatever it was, a shy. In the first half, the 1-2 with Mikey Moore, he read the game well. He played Mikey Moore in, he linked up. Well, that's a start of something. I mean, Miovski was talking about recently, he just needed a run of games to get him into the goal scoring frame again. So maybe that's what Big Chermiti needs, a run of games. He got very few chances on goal. He also had that shot in the second half as well, where he should have went for the bottom corner, but he went kind of straight at the goalkeeper. But he's not been a lot of chances, so maybe he's going to do that. We did create a few chances on goal. We couldn't convert ours, especially notable at the end when you're so eager to put the game to bed. But what I was seeking to explain, I think, in my pod, I was slagging the game off, slagging the performance off, was my own relief, my own nervousness. I was saying things like, God knows how we won that game, God knows how our defence survived that game. But I watched back the highlights and I thought about it in the cold light, the cold foggy light of next day. It had nothing to do with the actual performance, my reaction. It had nothing to do with the performance of our defence, which should just like a standard number of ropey moments. It was just all about my nervousness, my desire to see Rangers get it over the line. It's been a nervy kind of season, and watching the game on Sports Scene, you're struggling for highlights, watching the Sports Scene highlights, but I had no idea it was John Sterling who had cleared the ball off the line. You know, I knew he had put the ball in for the goal, he'd got the assist for the goal, and I knew he'd done really well to block a cross that led to the corner, that led to him having to clear the ball off the line. But what an example he sets to everybody else. John Sterling is even better than I realised he was. I was definitely praising him in my post-match reaction pot. Bojan Miovski, he's been temporarily, he's injured temporarily. He's not out for any length of time. The head coach saying today he thinks he could make it in time for Sunday, but Raskin, it was the same. He did a wee injury. I wasn't sure what happened with him before the game, but it turned out it was just a wee injury. 72 hours. He'd been struggling for fitness, but he managed to get on the bench. So have them back for Tynecastle. It'll be good to have the two of them back. But I think we're going to have Raskin back anyway, definitely. But it's amazing to get through a Hibs game, and all 3 points with the players that have actually been injured and rested, and the players that are long-term injured, and we've now had 6 days more rest than we usually get. 6 days more rest since. I mean, that's more rest than we usually get. It's a first kind of free midweek, even though we played on a Monday, technically midweek. Can Danny Röhl put some more kind of shape and tactical know-how into this team just in time for this huge game? Chermiti, I think he's actually too confident. Big Youssef Chermiti, the way he comes off the park when he's subbed and all that, like he's a bit of a superstar. I don't know if I think he needs to he needs to get that kind of killer instinct, that desperation. I will do whatever I can to score. I think he's kind of playing at it just now, in not the sense we want him to. 3 at the back denies us a 10 going forward. The manager was talking about this today. The head coach was talking about this today. But I'd like the Dio, Barron, Raskin triangle of destruction in there on Sunday. The World Cup in Mexico next summer. The World Cup is going to. Bits of it are going to be back in Mexico. Obviously, it was there in 1986 as well because Colombia suffered the old earthquake. But anytime anybody talks about World Cup being in Mexico, it's always 1970 and it's always Brazil 1970. You're talking Brazil winning the World Cup the first time it was in Mexico, and everybody can name that Brazil team. No, Piazza and Brito and Clodoaldo, Everaldo, Felix, all these guys, and you can name that famous Brazil team. Of course, Jairzinho, as well as Pele and Carlos Alberto, Tostao, Gerson, all these kind of guys, or Rivellino, and that. It's Jairzinho scored in every game. I've always had a bit of a problem with that because Just Fontaine scored in the third, fourth place playoff. 1958 World Cup, Just Fontaine, Brazil, it was won the World Cup in 58 as well, and they beat France in an epic semi-final, and then France leathered Germany in the third, fourth place playoff. So they're playing the same number of games. You're getting like a kind of final when you play the third, fourth place playoff, the game for the losers of the semi-final at the World Cup. So Just Fontaine scored in every game, every round as well of a World Cup finals. I was saying Jairzinho was the first guy to do it. I don't think he was really. It wasn't really, but of course, doing it when you score in a winning final is always a lot more notable. Germany, they beat Uruguay in the third, fourth place playoff in 1970. Gerd Müller didn't score in that. But Gerd Müller did score far more goals than Jairzinho. Gerd Müller scored 10 goals. He's the top scorer in the 1970 World Cup finals in Mexico. He was the Ballon d'Or in 1970 because it was just European. It was just European Footballer of the Year then, strictly speaking. So none of the Brazil team were eligible. But Gerd Müller's my kind of hero. And Jairzinho, Scored spectacular goals, brilliant goals. All Brazil's goals were, well, a lot of Brazil's goals in that World Cup were absolutely magnificent. But in the semi-final, of course, famous semi-final, Brazil beat Uruguay as a magical semi-final. And it's a great game to watch. But the game everybody remembers from the 1970 World Cup before out with the final is, well, the English probably remember the quarter-final when Germany put them out. They were the holders, England, in that World Cup. But and also the game against Brazil. Alec, get to the point. The semi-final, Italy against Germany, 4-3. They called it the game of the century and stuff like that. I was born the year before, so I don't really remember. I don't remember it at all, but I've watched plenty of it since then. And my hero, my kind of stats hero, I think it's a lot of it's because his career was over before I realised, before I knew anything about him. So I've just spent my whole life kind of analysing his career, and it's in all completeness. The stats are all there. Is the late Gerd Müller, der Bomber, and he scored twice in that epic semi-final. Italy and Germany. Italy win 4-3. It's 1 each. Germany equalised in the 92nd minute, and it goes into extra time. And in extra time, Gerd Müller scores a couple of goals. Now, he scored 10 goals in that World Cup, Gerd Müller. Top scorer. He's the last man to score double figures at a World Cup final. So that might change next year in 2026 because the sheer number of games being played. But to get to 10 goals when it was just, you played 3 group games, then it was a quarter-final, the semi-final, and the final, or the third, fourth place playoff in his case. He only played 6 games. He gets 10 goals. Absolutely amazing. And the furthest out he was for any of those goals was the penalty spot. He scored 1 penalty. It was against Bulgaria, I think. He scores 1 penalty, and it was against Bulgaria. I don't think I know. Morocco, Bulgaria, Peru, England in the quarter-final. Italy in the semi-final. Doesn't he score in the third, fourth place playoff against Uruguay? Is it Wolfgang Overath scores in the third, fourth place playoff against Uruguay? I think it might have been the only goal of the game. They did finish third, but Germany, of course, they go on to, Gerd Müller goes on to score the winner in the final of the Euros. He scores 2 in the final of the Euros 2 seasons later, and then 4 years later, he scores the winner in the 74 World Cup final. But this is where he really makes his name at this World Cup, and the furthest out is a penalty spot. All his goals are scored between the penalty spot and the actual goal line. There's a goal, I think it's against Bulgaria, where it's Uwe Seeler has a header. It comes back after the crossbar, and Muller's standing under the crossbar, almost on the line to score it. But the 2 goals, I think that sums up his talent really, is the 2 goals against Italy in that semi-final. And you've got a World Cup where Pelle's rounding the keeper and letting the ball go the other way, and he's trying to score for the halfway line and stuff like that. And you've got the goal that Brazil scored, the coup de grace that Carlos Alberto scores in the final of that World Cup to make it 4-1 against Italy, against the Catenaccio of Italy. And this is beautiful football, killing the defensive horrors of Italian Catenaccio. Well, Celtic had done that to him in the European Cup because it was mostly the inter-defence, but Celtic had done that to him in the European Cup final in 67 by just consistently playing good football against them until they broke them down in that final in Lisbon. But only 2-1. This is Brazil pounding Italy 4-1. But in the semi-final, although Italy won, they had to score 4 goals to beat the Germans. And Gerd Müller scores these 2 goals against this Catenaccio defence, which require infinitesimal touches of the ball. He takes the poaching thing. Both his contacts are in the 6-yard box. Now, the second goal he scores in extra time to make it, I think, 3 each. Uwe Seeler back post for a corner, and he heads the ball. I mean, Franz Beckenbauer dislocated his shoulder during the game before subs and that. But Uwe Seeler heads the ball for the back post area. He's out in the back of the box, and he heads it just basically to the middle of the 6-yard box. And then comes Gerd Müller with the flying header. But it basically hits off the top of his hair, but it's enough to just divert it out the way of this packed Italian box, and it goes at the far post. The first one he scores is even better, because Italy are kind of playing the ball. I think it's a pass back. The pass back rule still applied. No, it's Uwe Seeler, again, as a wee header. He gets onto Uwe's strike partner, and it kind of Uwe Seeler played in like 4. They played in 4 World Cup finals. It was the first 4 different World Cup finals. First guy to do that, or was it the Mexican goalkeeper Barbosa? Uwe Seeler knocks the ball across, and the Italians have got it covered. It takes a bounce, and Bjørnebye, Facchetti, whoever comes in, and he just tries to take a touch to kind of collect the ball and go, but it takes a bad touch and it rolls towards, but it's just towards near post area. It's going to go for a by kick, and another Italian defender comes in, and the goalkeeper comes out to just help gather it as well. Gerd Muller just runs in there, and it is like 3 yards for goal, and he just... the first time you see it, you don't even think he touches it. He just kind of sclaffs it, and it rolls along, and it rolls over the goal line. And the goalkeeper, it's Albertos. He's just trying to claw at it, but he's on his knees, and it's too late. He's just diverted the direction of the ball, and it literally rolls into the net. And all he's done is basically just get in there and kind of in between these Italian defenders and the goalie. There's about 5 of them between him and the ball. And he still goes in there, and just that tiny touch, that tiny diversion, puts it into the net. And it's no spectacular, but to me it's more skillful than the goal Brazil score in the final. When Carlos Alberto lashes that thing, Pele lays it after him, and Carlos Alberto lashes that thing into the back of the net. You notice the adverts behind the goal if you watch it enough, and you'll see one of them's Zeiss of Vienna, where they make the lenses, that they talk about in Main Streets. They get mentioned in these are East German lenses. These aren't East German. These are from Jena, but it's Zeiss of Vienna that they're obviously talking about in Main Streets. But Zeiss of Vienna, the advert, and you get Carl Zeiss Jena, become the East German football club Carl Zeiss Jena, who I've seen playing at Dusseldorf, and also in East Germany at that time. There was, I don't know what name they had then, but it was a team called Turbine Erfurt. Became Optimal, and Turbine Erfurt and Optimal Erfurt, they both combined. They merged to make Rot-Weiss Erfurt, the team that's still on the go just now, Rot-Weiss Erfurt from Thuringia in East Germany. Erfurt. It's not just about tiki-taka, it's about effort. It doesn't have to be nice. It doesn't have to be pretty. You can still end up getting to the top of the game with effort. Our manager comes from East Germany. He was born in East Germany when it was still the DDR. Only for a few months more at the time he was born there. He played for East German clubs. He'd probably played against Rot-Weiss Erfurt, but there he was in that's post-match interview. Post-match presser on Monday night talking about effort. And I was just thinking, Erfurt, and he's absolutely spot on. He knows he comes up. He's been brought up in that world of German pragmatism. And of course, East Germany beat West Germany in the only time he beat them in the 74 World Cup, the only time the two Germanys ever met each other. Well, those two Germanys. There was also the whole I'm not going to get into the whole thing about when the qualifiers for the 1954 World Cup. No, that's but Sepp Herberger and up against the guy who would become the Helmut Schoen was manager of this. But it was anti-football. Remember, we were told we were playing anti-football on our way to that final in Manchester, when it wasn't even anti-football. It was a different thing altogether. It's certainly to an Argentinian. It was Messi who made that jibe, or was asked to make that jibe. However, on the press conference after, they could only draw 0-0 at Ibrox, but we were anti-football, because folk hated our style of football. That's fine. Let's do it again, Rangers. Let's do it again. We've got a manager who's totally embracing that just now. It's no about style. It's no about tiki-taka. It's no about prettiness. And he comes from a country where they will make the pragmatism work. Pragmatism can take you to the very top. Magoma and Aarons, Jaden Magoma, Max Aarons, no good enough. But they've been working recently. Without me really realising it, without, no, that's actually... When I see the two of them are playing at wing-back, I'm quite happy. The two of them playing at full-back, that's fine. They're going to be okay. Jaden Magoma scores that goal at Tannadice. Max Aarons scored the winner in the only league game that Russell Martin won as well. So they both scored goals away from home for us this season in the league, but they're slowly starting to work, and slowly, so his words make me feel. They say there's, in German, in Blackadder, they say the Germans don't have any word for fluffy, but why then are Danny Röhl's words make me feel so kind of warm and fluffy inside? On Wednesday, we got Stig Inge Bjørnebye as a consultant, and he came, former Norwegian international. Get your boots on. Have you got your boots with you, mate? You played for Norway in the 98 World Cup. If you got your boots with you, get your boots on. If you got your boot, you're a full, but we could do with a wing, but get your boots on. You get your boots. I don't know if he's come in as like Mr. Wolf for Pulp Fiction, or he's got like that guy that Metallica get in to make that documentary with Metallica when they had, was he a psychologist, a group psychologist or something like that? It's just a total absolute quack, total charlatan. But it was, they were having a bad time. They weren't feeling it as a band. They were on the verge of breaking up, so they got this guy and they were paying him like £400 an hour, $400 an hour or something. And the best scene in that whole thing was when he was saying, "I don't think you're ready to go on your own." They were trying to sack him, and he's like, "I think you need maybe a few more months. I'm just about to pay for my second home. Could you just keep going for another 3 or 4 months with the therapy that you're paying me through the nose?" But I don't know who we're getting. I don't know what role he's performing. He's not going to be a director. 6-month contract he's in on, and it's obviously to do with the absence of, a CEO, the absence of a director of football, and maybe just to sort out, I think the suspicion is that he's in to inspect all the people that Patrick Stewart and Kevin Thelwell did appoint, but he's reporting directly to Andrew Kavanagh. It's good. It's good that we're getting this done. Fernandez still isn't good enough. Sharmiti doesn't score goals. Giga is gone. Tav is getting slower. Diamandi is patchy. Raskin's admitted he's having a bad season. All these problems, but all arriving at the same moment. They're sacking our CEO, we're sacking our director of football, we've sacked the coach that we brought in this summer, the head coach we brought in this summer, and all these players are falling to pieces, and we've got Cornelius is out injured and Souttar's out injured, our first choice centre halves, and we're still in a position where we're on the cusp of making ourselves proper title challengers. German pragmatism. Good time to get a consultant, and we got that consultant in within a few hours. We're only 3 points behind Celtic, having played the same number of games as them, and we're 9 behind Hearts with a game in hand. So he's a good impact sub, a good substitute director. That is Stig Inge Bjørnebye, the Norwegian, who's been a consultant for, is it Rosenborg? He's managed as well in Scandinavia. He's Bjørnebye. Sorry, Rosenborg, of course, won 285 Norwegian league titles in the space of 10 years. So I don't know how much he was involved with that, but it's Scandinavian advice is all the rage these days. So that's good. It's good. A good impact sub-director. But while it's tempting to talk about what a win on Sunday will do for Rangers, well, we should, as Rangers, always be looking to win at any Scottish venue. It's maybe best to also kind of brace for impact. Just as I'm feeling Hearts are in historic kind of nosebleed territory. It's 65 years since they won the title. They've only won it 4 times. Hearts have only been champions of Scotland for the 1874 they were formed, and they've only been champions of Scotland 4 times in that 150 plus years. So they'll have moments of natural slippage as they readjust to the new norm. We are in short-term nosebleed territory, though. I think Rangers are in short-term nosebleed. Danny Röhl is just looking so much better than we did under Russell Martin. We get clean sheets, home and away, 3-0 wins, back-to-back wins. All the basics have returned basically to our league form. It's been a lot of change for our squad too, but maybe we need to readjust for a second. All these games where our defence looks weak and our attack looks blunt, yet we win. It's not always a case that we just skip straight to performances. Will get better if we keep getting these kind of results, but it's not always a straightforward upward curve. That is the next step. That is where we're headed. The performances catching up with the results, but sometimes the way to get there is the one step backwards into all the bad things that you were before going on to the next level, before jumping on a level and generally improving. Hearts could pump us, is what I'm saying. Hearts, formed in 1874, as I say, Hearts most famous, Heart of Midlothian, most famous of course for being the friendly opponent Aston Villa chose for the opening of the floodlights at Villa Park, November 1958. Aston Villa played Hearts in that friendly for the opening. That was the first time the switching on, so you don't open floodlights, you switch them on. The switching on of the floodlights at Villa Park. Great venue, fantastic venue, Villa Park. Hearts, because Hearts were the champions. Hearts were champions of Scotland in November 58. We did that thing where it was us versus Hibs in the 40s into the 50s. It was either us or Hibs that won the league title by the end of the 50s. It was the famous Tommy Walker Hearts team who won like 4 League Cups, 2 league titles, a Scottish Cup. All kind of 50s, mid-50s into the very early 60s. So I think we won the league 56 and 57. Hearts won it 58, us 59, Hearts 1960, then it's us 1961. Dundee won it 62. we win the league 63, 64, and then Kilmarnock won it in 65. So that was just, and it went on like that. I think it probably just, I don't know what happened, but it probably just went on like that for the next decade or so. But these were it's just before my time. It was before I was born. But it's I've never really experienced this thing, but it has happened before, where it's between Hearts and ourselves to win the leagues. They've played 17 in the league so far this season, Hearts. They've won 11, drawn 5, lost 1. They lost away to Aberdeen in late November. In the League Cup, they won all 4 of their group games, because they're not in Europe this season. That's definitely helped Hearts not being in Europe, despite getting European-style money from their very rich owners and Tony Bloom of Brighton and Hove Albion and Union St Gilloise fame. Try to do the same thing at Union St Gilloise. Try to do the same thing at Hearts. He did at Union St Gilloise. Take a club who's historically big and successful, but haven't been properly successful for decades, and make them champions again, as he did with USG. But we beat them along the way as well, so beat them twice. But they played 4 League Cup group games, and they won them all, scoring 4 goals in each of them. And then they lost on penalties away to St Mirren in the next round of the League Cup. And that now looks like not a bad result. That's away to St Mirren, you lose on penalties. St Mirren have blown away everybody else in the League Cup on their way to winning the thing. So that's Claudio Braga and Shankland. They've got 8 goals each so far. They've scored 34 goals, Hearts, which is 11 goals more than we've scored. Therein lies our problem. We can't put stuff away because Hearts have conceded 13 goals, but we've conceded 13 goals as well, so they're no better than us defensively. But scoring more goals tends to make it easier to beat teams. Aye. A snagging item for me for the season is I kept saying I didn't really expect us to win the league this season. I kept saying this when Russell Martin was manager, and not just because I knew he was shite, but to kind of calm the hysteria around him. I wanted to prove he's definitely shite before we get rid of him. It's definitely not working. Falkirk. We go to Falkirk after 10 minutes. It's not working. He needs to go. Now I'm thinking, yeah, get in there for 56 Rangers. Why? Why have I suddenly changed my mind? It's because everybody else in the league's so bad as well. The fact that Hearts are top of the league, they're 9 points ahead of us. We've got a game in hand on them. They could eradicate that on Sunday, but that doesn't, because it's Hearts. It's just, they've never really scared us, not in my lifetime anyway, Hearts. So it feels like everybody else is garbage. Things are just a bit weird anyway, so why not? The chance is there to win the league, even if we are rebuilding. Let's be honest, hard as we may fight it, as kind of tunnel vision and our Rangers loyalty as we may be, as desperate as we may be to assert that our need is greater. Hearts can make do with a Scottish Cup every decade. No, we don't. It's all about us winning the league. This is a really interesting scenario. It is actually. We've had a kind of watered down version, a decade ago, of Hearts being the team to beat us in A division, not Division A, the old Division A, but in A division, in the Championship. That we had Hearts winning the same trophy that they won in 58 and 60, but the same trophy they've been going for in 1986. But they won it when it was the second tier trophy, and we were in the same league as them, but the same division. But the sheer kind of cultural significance of Hearts at Tynecastle being the biggest test of the season so far, it's weird, isn't it? It's quite interesting. And I was there in 85-86. We beat Celtic 3-0 at Ibrox. I think we drew 0-0 with Clydebank one weekend. The following weekend, we pumped Celtic 3-0 at Ibrox. It was fantastic. It was great. I was in the East Enclosure that day. I was only like 16. And the following week, I was through at Tynecastle, and Hearts beat us 3-0 because they were the team that's going to win the league that season. It's round about. It's almost 40 years exactly. I think it was between Christmas and New Year that Hearts came to Ibrox that season, 85-86. We'd beaten them 3-1 at Ibrox at the beginning of the season. Sandy Clark and Ali McCoy's getting sent off. Ali McCoy's punching Sandy Clark. During the game, we beat Hearts 3-1 at the start of that season. We had a really good start under Jock Wallace. Thought we were going to win the league for the first time in about 8 years, but no. It didn't happen. Pretty soon became clear that wasn't going to happen, and by the middle of the season, it's Hearts, who were just newly back in the top flight, they'd only been up for a couple of seasons, they start really motoring, and it's the biggest away support I've ever seen at Ibrox outside Celtic. They had the whole of the Brimlin stand. They were in the Govan. There was some of them in the Govan. They had a good, maybe 1,000 or so in the West Enclosure, and they were in the main stand as well, this Hearts this day, and it was, they're doing the itchy RTC. I'm only 16 at the time, so I've never really seen Hearts. Hearts, I say, they just come up in the past few seasons, And I was seeing that they had a big support and that day, I got an idea of just exactly how big you could feel the history coming off them. Even though I'd never been alive, I wasn't alive when Hearts had last won the league. They'd won it 9 years before I was born. I could feel it coming off this support. This is a support that is, most of these guys have seen Hearts win in the league. Or half of them, anyway, have seen Hearts win in the league. Half of them will remember it, and they're singing these songs, and that was really impressive. But actually, and they beat us 2-0, going on 4 or 5-0. I was sitting right down the front of the Govan, up towards the Celtic end, because you could pick a seat anywhere in the days at Ibrox. But it actually inspired me thinking, well, we're bigger than Hearts. I knew we were bigger than Hearts. You could tell that with our stadiums and nothing else. So if we do this, if we come back and we win the league for the first time, and I thought it was going to be a decade probably, what will we be like? And I found out a year later, and it was much bigger, and it was phenomenal. But by the end of that season, of course, Hearts chucked it on the very last day of the 85-86 season to Celtic. So I feel fatalistically there's a chance of that being reversed, and it'd probably be us that end up chucking it in the last day of the season to give it to Hearts. No, but I remember Dundee United and Aberdeen winning the league. They were 4 out of 6 years, and that's basically embedded in my psyche, because that was when I was like, Aberdeen won in 1980 when I was like 11, and then it was United in 83, Aberdeen in 84, Aberdeen in 85, and I'm like 11 till 16 really, and that was really weird. So Hearts winning the league the following season wouldn't have been that wild. It was non-old firm teams winning. Celtic had won it a couple of times, 81 and 82 I think, and to be honest with you, that's embedded more in my psyche than as painful as a Rangers supporter, because I was so young. But it's the formative years, the whole fever pitch thing. That's embedded more in my psyche. It's more painful than Celtic winning 13 of the last 14 titles, because that's all happened like my 40s and my 50s. Life the years just fly by. It's still been nice, but the years just fly by. So that's the one that's it's stuck in there. But Hearts were our main challenger. A couple of occasions during our 9 in a row. It's just so well to go here as the pretenders. It's quite liberating, quite frankly, for Rangers to go through here. I like the idea of us being the old dog that's got to pit down, if you like. Hearts are the new kind of shiny thing. I like the idea of us down to Derek McInnes, what that bastard did to us so many times as a manager of other clubs, basically stress testing our right to win the title, to show that we've got the credentials. Everybody else in Scotland gets to spoil our day. Gets to spoil Rangers' title party. Oh, Dundee have held Rangers. Ross County have beaten Rangers for the first time in their history. And then they go and get relegated or something. I mean, it's pretty good if we could go through there and just do it. We might end up with a shite season anyway, and the season might end the way it started. But if we just go and fuck up Hearts for a wee while, that'd be quite good. Although I would ultimately, if it's between them and Celtic, I would want them to win the title. But it's quite a kind of cultural change for us as a support, for it to be about us versus Hearts. I mean, less than 2 years ago, we pumped them 5-0 at Ibrox. Remember, under all three of Philip Clement's January signings scored. We beat them 5-0. Lawrence Shankland hit the bar or hit the post, and we were all laughing. We should have known. Hey, we don't need to sign you. We've got these new guys that are playing for it. Then Fabio Silva was proven to be a fantastic player, maybe more than Oscar Cortez. But we went to, even at the end, towards the end of it, when it all started going wrong for Clement the following season, after losing to Queen's Park, and before the 2-0 doing of St Mirren at Ibrox that eventually that got Clement sacked. In between times, we went to Tynecastle, played terrible. They were right up for it, and we won 3-1. It's just for Tynecastle to be a genuinely threatening venue for us. It's like Easter Road. We're always kind of wary, but more often than not, Easter Road we actually get away with it. We have been beaten at Tynecastle. We have been pounded on occasion at Tynecastle. Mark Warburton's last game, remember that? Getting 4 pit past us that night. But usually it's us that come out on top. If nothing else, this Sunday is interesting. We come along here as a kind of Red Rum or Muhammad Ali, Red Rum in his prime, or Muhammad Ali on the brow of the hill. Hearts are Beechersbrook and George Foreman, ready to take out the Elgin and make it their season. We'll see. We will see. But this is all just a cheap turn on, really, this historical stuff, a bit of kind of role play to get the libido going again. We'd all much rather this game on Sunday reignited a routine of regular, healthy love-making with the title from Rangers. Nae Nasser, he's away to play with Burkina Faso, of course, in AFCON. That's a big miss at centre-half. It's up to you to decide if it's a big miss or not. It's had ropey moments, but Burkina Faso finished 4th in 1998 at AFCON. I think they hosted it, and they finished 4th. Quite a mental 3rd, 4th place playoff if you look that up, but they finished 2nd. I think it was 2013. They lost to Nigeria. They lost the final to Nigeria in South Africa, and they've made the semis. I think they finished 3rd and 4th in another. I think 3rd, 4th place playoff at another couple of occasions in the 21st century. So we can't be sure that. I think the last group game is Hogmanay, Burkina Faso. So we can't be sure Giga's going to be coming straight back for before. That would be too soon anyway for the Celtic game, but we're hoping that we're going to get signings in. Danny Röhl was talking about that today for early January, and maybe he'll not come back at all. Maybe, your club's sent you your plane ticket. I'm going straight back to Glasgow, am I? Nope, it's you're off to Wolverhampton Town. 13th of September 2025, Russell Martin loses to Hearts at Ibrox, our only league defeat this season, making him the first Rangers manager since John Gregg to not win any of his first 5 league games in a season. First manager John Gregg in 78, 79, and I thought this season, just last week there, that was Celtic. Celtic have got to get hold of themselves. They've got to get a grip here, because we're going to end up. This is Old Firm United. 40 straight years we have won this title. We've been champions of Scotland for 40 years, the Old Firm. 40 straight. And Celtic are starting to let the side down. They're doing the same thing. I think it's really notable. I've got one of these wee bee in my bonnets, ridiculous, kind of, I don't want to say it out loud, only when I've had about 15 pints and not of Budweiser would I start slavering about it. But I've got this wee thing, an instinctive thing. It's not provable and it's just total bullshit. But I have this thing in my head. I just feel as if we started losing it as a club. We headed into financial trouble because we were mismanaged financially, and David Murray's got to take the blame for that in so many ways. But I feel as if we also kind of we started becoming proactive as a support in a way that there was no real problems to be proactive about. No that we knew about. Nobody really knew the proper financial problems with the club. And I think there was a kind of, look at how Celtic keep complaining about everything. Celtic complain about everything and they get decisions because they keep and it's like we wanted to become Celtic in that way. We wanted to become something we weren't. We wanted to start getting hysterical and paranoid and date publicly and start. It's like you can't behave like somebody else. You've got to be yourself, or else things will go disastrously wrong. And I'm wondering that I see the Celtic fans now, they're not doing their thing of blaming the Masons or blaming referees. The same thing as the Masons are forces it to get. They are proper Rangers support. They've even got this. They've even borrowed our banners and just changed the face of the directors. That they've got the big red slash going through the middle of their they're threatening their own directors. The same as we've got the crosshairs and all that stuff going on. It's like they're just copying us, and I'm hoping that's going to lead to them. I don't hope it's going to lead to the same disaster for them as it led to for us in 2012 and all that. But it's an interesting thing to see. But I think the experiment of having women managers is quite. They did Angela, and then they had Brenda, and Marty did. Marty, she did all right. But they got rid of her straight away for some reason. I think folk kept thinking, "Oh, Martin," I thought it was a bloke's name. But they've got Nancy in, and it's not working anymore. It's not working. It worked for Angela. It worked for that. They sound like women's name. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm a bit nervous. My partner's getting worse than it usually is. So, Hearts thing this season has been slipping up versus the Minnows. It's been slipping up versus the Minnows. At that time they beat us in September. Lawrence Shankland handles the ball and admits as much because he's a Rangers sport, isn't he? For the first goal that they score, and the second goal is a penalty, and Jack Button saves the penalty, but Shankland's in there for the rebound. So we ended up playing reasonably well. We could have come back at them in the second half and that, but they had it under control, as with most games. We'd lost it early doors, that one, but Hearts were impressive that day, and that was their first win at Ibrox since 2014, and their first win against us in 19 meetings. That one in 2014 was a championship game, wasn't it? Aye, it was. But Shankland brace that day just rubbing in the fact that I usually was slagging me for hitting the post when you beat us 5-0 last season. Well, take a bit of that, was the season before last. But I think it's slipping up against the so-called minnows. Well, they've only lost one game, and that was away to Aberdeen at Pittodrie, hardly a minnow. But they've drawn at home with Dundee United and Motherwell, drawn away with Motherwell as well, and it's yet to be seen how well Motherwell will do, especially when they come to Ibrox. We drew their first game of the season, and they're getting rave reports, Motherwell, and they're looking quite good. That might be better results than we realise. Hearts drawn home and away with Motherwell. They drew away at St Mirren in the league, and this is after them losing at St Mirren on penalties, I think, after drawing there in the League Cup as well. This is the kind of game they've been winning. They beat Celtic home and away. They're looking to complete a double-double, beating both halves of the Old Firm in the same season before Christmas. Home and away, beating them home and away. It's going to be quite a thing for Hearts to do this. It could be their crowning glory moment of belief, the day they show us what they really can do. I think it was like Dundee, I'm talking about them winning the league in 1962. Did they pump us 5-1 or something at Ibrox? It was only one game home and away. It was only played everybody once home and away in those days in the old First Division. But I think they gubbed us 5-1 or something at Ibrox. There's usually a moment where a team that's a particular team that hasn't won the league before or hasn't won the league for decades, they really demonstrate against somebody. They go on a massive win in what's supposed to be a difficult game. And I wonder, this could be it. Just the fact that they're beating Rangers and Celtic home and away, and us away, that would be enough normally for Hearts in a season. But this is, to complete a double-double over the Old Firm, it would be quite a thing. Currently, all we're doing is stabilising. This is the moment, if we won, or maybe even get a draw, that we can start saying, yes, we are title contenders, I think. On Sunday, we might just be consolidating second place trips. As far that's been our default for the last 8 years. December is our time. December into January, early January, just the festive period, just past New Year. That's usually when we become title contenders. Done it under Gerrard's 2 or 3 times. Only the third time we actually won the league. We did it under certainly did it under Philip Clement last season. I think when we usually get the result against Celtic in the Nerday game, whenever it's actually played. And then we have a shaky. It used to be there was a winter break, and we have a shaky kind of we'd come back after winter break, and it would be the Scottish Cup game against lower league opposition, Stranraer or Stirling Albion or something like that. And it'd be win 2-0 or 3-1. It wasn't very impressive, but I'm sure it's fine. We're just getting back into the way of things. Then we'd draw with Aberdeen, and then we'd get beat off Dundee or something like that, or get beat off Aberdeen, and then it just all started to crumble. Then round about March, April, when we were officially, all but officially out of the title race, we completely let it go. We started hitting a bit of form again, which offered much promise for the following season. But, so, I'm actually fine with that. After the way we started this season, I just get to that point again, where we go on a really good run through December and early January, just to make sure that we're going to finish second, and have that kind of Champions League spot as opposed to the Conference League. It's that would be a miracle to finish second, I think, considering how this season has begun. And it was exactly what I expected. I expected us to finish second before the season began. So it would all work out fine for me. Danny Röhl, his pre-Hearts presser, unbelievably downbeat in tone today, in his manner, in his volume. But he's continuing to... He did eventually go on to kind of reiterate the point that we must continue to improve as a team. He talked on Monday night's post-match presser after the Hibs game about small steps. Got to keep making small steps. He's all about Rangers winning the league this season, Danny Röhl. If you listen to what he's saying rather than the way he's saying it in that press conference today, his pre-match presser, what was he said? It will be a top game. Everything is on. I'm translating that as up for grabs. Everything is on. This is why we play football, to have such a game. We know we can make the next step. We cannot win the league this weekend. Bit negative, but we cannot win this league yet. But this is also crucial. But of course, to go into such a game on our run, to face a team who is top of the league, it's good, it's great. This is the challenge we want. There will be a great atmosphere in the stadium. We are all prepared for this, and we are looking forward to it. I'm assuming that was meant to be to it. So that's fine. So there is none of this kind of rebuilding part of what we're getting. I thought quite rightly at the time from Russell Martin and Kevin Thelwell and Patrick Stewart, maybe even the owners back in kind of July, August, September. It's about rebuilds and taking things slow and maybe not expecting to win the league this season. I think Kavanagh and Marathi probably learned straight away with all that stuff that happened with Russell Martin that we can't talk about building the plane while it's still flying. We can't even acknowledge as directors, as owners, that there needs to be any kind of transportation at all to get us from A to B. It's just get to B. Just be at B and make it yesterday that you got to B. It's pretty much the attitudes of a support like ours, who are this week, the last fortnight, talking about how ridiculously entitled the Celtic support are. They are ridiculously entitled. They have won a ridiculous amount of titles over the last 15 years or so. It's 14 or 13 of the last 14 titles, and they must have won most of the Scottish Cups and League Cups in that time. Certainly over half of each. They're well over the 20s. I've never actually started to count it up, but they are ridiculously entitled. They have been titled so many times. It's ridiculous, but I think also the form of Celtic has created the very kind of real possibility that we can win the title, or at least still look like we're in the race come Christmas, despite the kind of waterfall of drop points under Russell Martin in our first 8 games. We get 9 points from our first 8 games. That includes one under Stevie Smith as well. But it's positive vibes and forward thinking from Danny Röhl, delivered in realistic tones. That's how we should approach this as a support, I think, as well. That's how we should approach Tynecastle. I balk when I see already a few different people saying, no excuses, we've got to seize this chance. No, it's a patter. Probably for the same Rangers fans who were telling us in early October we'd be lucky to finish in the top 6, never mind the top 2, and there's absolutely no way we're going to win the league. But Röhl is cool with it. He knows what we are. He knows what Rangers are all about, because in his presser today, his pre-match presser, he was also talking about the fact that he's already talking to players that we're going to sign. And I think that always happens, I would imagine, but it seems to be a revelation. It was on the news tonight. Danny Röhl's already talking to players about getting them in January. It's 2 minutes away in January. But he talked about how these players that he's want to get in for January it's how they've got the right mental strength, the right mental attitude to cope with setbacks, to cope with Rangers, basically. And this is a new thing for him in his looking at players. He's obviously a guy who moves with the situation. He's not an ideologue, and it's German pragmatism. It's cream soda drinks and Gerd Muller. Let's take that away with you from this podcast, if nothing else. But his kind of usual scouting technique was about physicality and technical skills of players, and now, he's saying today, he needs to know if they can handle it. He basically just wants to know, have you got these kind of players? Is he a player who needs to win every week? He's not just want to come here and comb his hair until an English Premier League team comes in for him, or maybe even a top end of the English Championship team comes in. These guys who just can't help, who just want to win, who probably have to get dragged away from the club they're playing for, because they're involved so deeply in whatever that club are trying to do, and just get shoved into a Rangers jersey, just the goals are that way. That's the kind of guys we want. Animals, just too crazy about winning. That's the kind of guys we want to get. Danny Röhl knows that. He knows this club. So he also spoke about wanting more than Plan A at his disposal. It was quite good. All he can do just now to vary things, he was saying, it's quite funny, he's laughing about it, is when he goes with 3 centre-halves. When he goes with 3 centre-halves, he can just have one wing-back as an actual winger, and the other one as a full-back. That's what I can do. You can go 3 centre-halves or 2 centre-halves. There you go. That's as much as I can vary things. And he was asked, what players are you looking for? And he says, well, if I tell you what positions I'm looking to get players into, it's going to increase their value. It's going to bump up the prices for us. So I'm not going to. He's laughing about it as well. He's got a really disarming manner, a really genuine manner. Lovely fella. And I'm just going to say that just now, because if we get pumped at Tynecastle on Sunday, the growling will start towards Danny Röhl. His character will start getting assassinated. So let's just enjoy this moment of loving the guy. I don't know if this was a bluff. This thing about he's only got kind of 2 ways. He doesn't have a plan B so far. But perhaps he's going to change it up at Tynecastle. Maybe he's going to come up with a third kind of key formation. For me, the 3 main questions for the team. We're talking about the team here. The 3 main questions are: 1, what formation is he going to play? 2, if he's going to go with 3 centre-halves, are we having Tav or Insiala as the third centre-half to join? I'm assuming Dujon Sterling and Emmanuel Fernandez. And the third question would be, is Majowski fit? He said that Bojan Majowski, is it Lyle Cameron, who hasn't been featured on the first team anyway, been in the bench, he's having a wee operation or something, he's having a problem with his fitness just now. But other than that, no big news, as was really the other night. I mean, I think Nico Rasmussen's going to be back in the starting 11 as opposed to being in the bench. But Majowski, he says it's not 48 hours to the game. It's not 100% sure that he's going to be fit or unfit for the game. So it's obviously not a long-term injury. But again, he could be bluffing. He might know exactly that Majowski is fit or is not fit, and he's just trying to keep his cards close to his chest. But that makes a massive difference for poor guys like myself trying to guess what team we're going to field on Sunday. And I like that. I like it if I don't know. That means there's less chance of Derek McInnes knowing. But question number 3 would be, if Majowski does play, who do we play alongside him? If Majowski doesn't play, who do we play up front? It's a funny thing, I want the Raskin, Diamandi, Barron kind of triangle of mayhem and destruction. But that would mean, as the manager spoke about a few times, that means Diamandi playing at 10. If we're going to play with a 10, we have a centre forward in front of them. So if you're going to go 5, I'm assuming that we're going to go 5 at the back, or the 3 at the back becomes I think he's going to go 3-4-3. I'm assuming he's going to go 3-4-3. The 3 at the back that becomes a 5 at the back when we're defending. If he's doing that against 5th place Hibs at home on Monday night, I'm assuming he's going to do it against 1st place Hearts away from home on Sunday. But maybe not. Maybe it's a double bluff. Maybe he's going to go for it. Diamandi playing at number 10 at the front, the wee kind of triangle we usually get going with Connor Barron and Nico Raskin sitting. It usually means a centre forward right in front of him. But would you play without a recognised centre forward? I think playing without a recognised centre forward, if Majowski isn't fit, I think playing without a recognised centre forward might be better than playing with Chermiti or Danilo as a centre forward, given what they have kind of been offering so far this season. But maybe having Mikey Moore and Gassama as kind of inside forwards either side of a 10, but there's no centre forward. It seems a bit much. But it's, I don't know, it might be an option. You're nominally playing Mikey Moore or Gassama as the centre forward, but they're both really coming in off the wide. There just seems to be a lot of point in having Diamandi playing as a 10 if you don't have a centre forward in front of him. So maybe he's going to go like Tynecastle that he did at Tannadice, go 4-2-3-1. Danny Röhl might just think, fuck it, let's have a shootout. Let's have a shootout like we did against Dundee United. Hearts are going to come at us probably. Let's get in behind them. We certainly got in behind Hibs plenty of times towards the end of the game on Monday night when they were throwing it all at us. Just couldn't finish the chances. So maybe he's thinking, right, let's just keep doing that. But again, the shootout option probably only works if Majowski is fit to start. If not, I think it's going to be 3-4-3. Tav instead of Inciala for experience and a bit more creativity going forward. Maybe taking the corners and that again. Tav, he's there for free kicks and penalties. I don't know. He's had 6 days and a bit more bench time to regain some sharpness that he was lacking in Budapest. And Hearts, good as they are this season, are not Ferencváros, and Tav does like to score against Hearts. So I would have basically the 3 centre halves: Tav, Dujon Sterling, and Emi Fernandez. You get Jack Butland in goals. It's Aarons and Magoma as your fullbacks / wing backs. And I think it's Raskin, and it's between Raskin. So it's Raskin, and then it's either Barron or Diamandi. But in current form, it has to be Barron. If we're only having two of that trio, I think it's going to be Raskin and Barron as your 2 6s, and in front of them, if Majowski's not fit, it's going to be Chermiti, just to give us a linchpin, a physical threat. They're quite big, I think, Hearts, are they? At the back, maybe you're best to try and play through them with the ball at your feet, I suppose, skillful small players, but I think it'd probably be Chermiti, and Gassama and Moore either side of him. Gas is quality. He has to return to form, and this is the place to do it. The Athens of the North, after he's scored in the actual Athens this season as well. My score prediction, folks, is 2-0 to Hearts. And we mustn't lose our shit when that happens. It's 2-0 to Hearts is my score prediction. I've got to be honest, I've got to go in my gut. 2-0 to Hearts, but I can just as equally see, almost as equally see, 3-1 or 4-0 to us or Hearts. Somebody can crash and burn this weekend, and somebody can hit top form, make a claim for the title. This is the moment we signal we're properly throwing our hat in the ring. This is the moment Hearts announced that it's more than just a random burst of form that's got them top of the league, and the fact that they're not in Europe. Maybe they hit us with their crowning, almost literally, as I said, performance. But I'm going to say 2-0 Hearts. There's a fatalism about the unbeaten away Premiership record in 2025 going at the last chance, the last away game in the league in 2025, and also the pattern. I can't help myself with the fact that results doesn't mean anything, but results keep repeating themselves. As I say, 2 each home and away with United, 2 draws with Celtic over 90 minutes, 2 different venues, draws with Falkirk, all that kind of stuff. That makes me feel a bit fatalistic, kind of superstitious as well, but we're poor, and the head coach is working miracles so often, and already those miracles have been as much about avoiding doings as they've been about us actually getting wins. They've been about not panicking or losing hope or shape when things are going wrong. I mean, look at the penalty at Tynecastle. 8 seconds of injury time left when we get that penalty, and I know half the Rangers support, probably myself included, was giving it a big deal. So we're going to drop 2 points instead of 3. What's the point? Well, the point is Celtic went there a fortnight later and got no points. That point could be the point that wins us the league. We've got to do. I think if we do lose this game on Sunday, no matter the result, I say, like Nadim Bajrami as he stepped up to take that spot kick at Tynecastle, we've got to keep the shape, keep the heat, keep the focus, keep the belief, and all this massively long pod and all this nonsense sort of become sorry for a game against Hearts. I know I've gone completely out of sync as well. My mouth will be moving at completely different times to the noises coming out of it, but all this for a game against Hearts, it's crazy stuff. It's a real change, a real boost to the Scottish game. The quality has fallen off a cliff. 10 points between us, 3 teams in European group stages, 10 points between the 3 of them. Rangers, Celtic and Aberdeen. So the next best thing when equality goes is to create some excitement. It's nice for the neutral, but there are no neutrals. And if there are any neutrals in Scottish football, they're not spending anywhere near the money in Scottish football we've spent over the last, or I've spent over the last 40 odd years. In a weird way, it takes a bit of pressure off Old Firm fans, knowing that there's a chance that while we're both terrified, the other lot are going to go from title 55 to title 56. It might actually be Hearts that come in and go to title 5 by taking 6 points off the 2 of us, before Christmas. Historically exciting. It's historically nice. Historically, a Hearts title win is tiki-taka. But as Danny Röhl says, right now, it's not about tiki-taka. Right now, it's not nice. It's never been nice to Rangers when we win the title. I've lived through Aberdeen and Dundee United winning leagues. It's better than Celtic winning it, yeah, but I'm a Rangers fan. I'm a Rangers supporter, and we showed patience on Monday night. The manager noticed it, and the players noticed it. We generally get the context, and we feel plenty nice right now if Rangers grind out the results until we get the performances in January, until we get reinforcements in January. It's not about tiki-taka. It's about effort, and breaking hearts. We're what's left. We're what's right. We're the enemy. We're the hand that will take you down and bring you to your knees. So who are you? Yeah, who